June 1876, Montana Territory, the heart of the American plains. The land was vast. Rolling hills stretched toward the horizon, carpeted with thick sun-bleached grass. A dry breeze stirred the prairie, rustling the sagebrush, carrying the scent of dust and horse sweat. The sun hung high, unflinching, as if watching. Insects hummed. Birds rose and wheeled lazily in the thermals. But beneath the quiet, the plains held their breath. This was greasy grass, as the Lakota called it. To the U.S. Army, it was the Little Bighorn River. And on these hills, it drank deeply of blood. Across this landscape, a campaign unfolded, forged by ambition, by gold, and by a government impatient to contain the people who had long called this land home. The Black Hills, sacred to the Lakota, had been promised to them by treaty. That promise vanished the moment gold was found. Prospectors flooded in, hungry, heedless. The U.S. government, unwilling to stop them, issued an ultimatum instead. All native bands were to report to reservations. By January 31st, the deadline was impossible. Many bands were deep in their winter camps, scattered far and wide across the plains. They did not comply. They could not. And so the army came. 3 columns moved like jaws across the northern plains. From the west came General John Gibbon. From the south, General George Crook. And from the east, General Alfred Terry, accompanied by the flamboyant, ambitious, and often reckless Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer. Custer, a name that even then was both admired and cursed. He had made his name during the Civil War, lionized in the press, adored by many, despised by others. He wore a buckskin coat and golden curls, and carried himself with the vanity of a knight. He believed in glory. He believed in destiny. But above all, he believed in himself. Ahead of him, unknown to him, lay the largest native encampment the plains had ever seen, a gathering of resistance. Composed of Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho, they were led by men of vision and defiance. Sitting Bull, the Hunkpapa holy man, had dreamt of soldiers falling into camp like grasshoppers. Crazy Horse, the enigmatic Oglala warrior, remained silent and unpredictable, but was feared for his courage. And Gall, hardened by grief, fought with burning resolve. The tribes had gathered not out of comfort, but defiance. They understood what was coming. But they would not go quietly. As Custer and his 7th Cavalry approached the Little Bighorn, scouts, both native and white, warned him of the village's immense size. Some claimed they saw dust rising like a storm. Others pointed to the trails, thousands of ponies, thousands of lodges. But Custer pressed on. He feared the village might scatter before he reached it. He saw glory in reach and moved to seize it. June 25th, the next morning, Custer ordered his regiment forward. 600 men, divided into 3 battalions. Major Marcus Reno would attack the southern end of the village. Captain Frederick Benteen, sent westward, was told to pitch in wherever he could. Custer himself took the right, flanking along the ridges. He sought a swift, decisive strike. It was a fatal misjudgment. From the village below, a tide began to rise. Warriors poured out, not in panic, but in fury. Young men and old, painted for battle, adorned with eagle feathers and armed with rifles and lances. Reno, crossing the river, was soon overwhelmed. Gunfire echoed through the timber. Horses screamed. Men fell. Blood stained the shallows. Reno faltered. He retreated across the water, into the trees, then up the bluff, leaving bodies and broken men behind. Custer never reached the village. On the ridges north of the camp, he was met not with flight but ferocious resistance. The warriors had found their rhythm. Crazy Horse led a flanking charge, riding bareback, face streaked with paint, bullets cutting the air around him. The hills erupted. Dust filled the air. Hooves thundered against the earth. War cries split the sky. The 7th Cavalry fired, reloaded, and fired again, but they were encircled. There was no escape. On a rise that would come to be known as Last Stand Hill, Custer and his men formed a tight circle. Carbines cracked. Pistols flared. Then, one by one, their voices fell silent. What remained were the cries of the living and the dying. It ended in less than an hour. The following morning, the field lay still. The sun rose over twisted bodies. Cartridge casings glinted in the dust. Horses, too, lay motionless. Flies gathered. Birds sang. And the wind passed over the grass, indifferent to what had transpired. Custer was found among his men. 2 bullet wounds, one to the chest, one to the temple. His body had not been scalped. It had not been mutilated. Perhaps it was out of respect. Perhaps it was chance. His brother, his nephew, his brother-in-law, all lay dead beside him. Back east, the news struck like a thunderclap. Shock, grief, outrage. Custer was enshrined as a martyr, a hero, a symbol of manifest destiny. The native warriors were alternately demonized and mythologized, depending on who told the story. But mourning gave way quickly to vengeance. The defeat at Little Bighorn became a national call to arms. The response was swift, overwhelming, and relentless. By the onset of winter, many native bands had surrendered. The great village had scattered. The dream of freedom, once so alive, was now fading. Sitting Bull fled north to Canada. Crazy Horse continued the fight until betrayal and a soldier's bayonet brought his end. Gall surrendered and later walked the path of diplomacy, forever marked by what he had seen. By 1877, the Black Hills were lost. Treaties meant nothing. So it was that the stunning victory at Little Bighorn, instead of turning the tide, only slowed it. The Lakota had won the battle. But the machinery of empire rolled on, cold, determined, vast. Today, the land endures. The Little Bighorn still flows. The ridges still stand. A monument rises in memory of the fallen cavalry. Another, erected later, honors the warriors who stood that day. But no stone can contain the whole truth. The smell of gunpowder, the sting of sweat in the eyes, the clatter of hooves, the rattle of feathers in the wind. These were not carved in granite. They remain in the silence, in the soil, in the memory carried by the wind. And if one listened closely on a hot June day, one might still hear it, the echo of a day when 2 worlds collided and the earth remembered. Thank you for watching this video. If you wish to watch more videos on African and American histories or generally, histories from across the world, please ensure you subscribe. Do not forget to like and comment your thoughts on the Battle of Little Bighorn. See you guys on the next video. Bye!